All right, this is Algebra 1, Unit 1-7. We are solving one-step equations. We are on Standard E because Standard E goes with 1-7. So coming back to our problem, we are talking about the reflexive property where 7 equals x is the same thing as x equals 7. And now I'm asking us about the definition of an equation, and our definition that we came up with as a class is it needs to have an equal sign. If you have an equal sign, then you have an equation. All right, so I want to talk about something to do with addition. So let's write this example. X plus 1 equals 3. All right, the question becomes, is this an equation? You can nod your head yes, you can nod your head no. Everyone should be shaking their head in some direction, maybe crazy because you want to be crazy. Okay, so what is x? Raise your hand when you have found x. Raise your hand when you have found x. All right, Martin, give it to us. Martin, why is it 2?
3 minus 1 is 2.
Why'd you do 3 minus 1?
Because it's just x.
Oh, you're trying to get rid of that 1 and move it to the other side? You were trying to get x by itself? Okay. Yeah, and that's how you solve an equation. Give me a thumbs up if you've solved an equation before in your life. Maybe last year, 2 years ago, when you were in kindergarten sometime. Yesterday. All right. Yeah, so in order to solve the equation, you need to get the variable or get the letter by itself. So to get the letter by itself, we do the opposite of adding 1. We subtract 1 to both sides. And then you can say, well, x plus 1 minus 1 is the same thing as, what's up, Aurelio? Yes, go for it. X equals 2. All right, easy peasy. Subtraction is basically the same thing. You do the opposite. Since it seems like everyone knows what they're doing, I'm just going to go through this kind of fast. So subtraction. So if I have something along the lines of x minus 7 is equal to, ooh, we'll mix it up here. We'll make it a little bit hard. Negative 10. Raise your hand and don't shout it out when you think you have the answer for x. I see 1 hand. 2 hands. 3 hands. 4 hands, 5 hands. 6 hands, 7 hands. I need to make sure that I give enough time for everyone to think about this. All right, Emily, what was x? X, you got negative 3. Can you tell us how you found that? You did plus 7. Why did you do a plus 7 and not a minus 7 here? Opposite, perfect. I like how you phrased that. So I add 7 to both sides, and I see how you got x equals 3. And I should be boxing my final answers as a negative 3. Thank you. You should be boxing your answers. I should be setting a good example for us here. Box your answers. All right. So, I guess I should ask, are we ready to move on to the next slide?
Yeah.
All right. So this guy can be a little bit tricky, but I still feel like we can keep up the pace. So multiplication. When I multiply something, so I'm going to go ahead and give us 5x is equal to 50. Raise your hand when you think you found x. I see 1 hand, 2 hands, 3 hands, 4 hands, 5 hands, 6 hands. All right, Chewy, what did we get?
Oh my God, 45.
X equals 45?
45x.
45x?
I don't know.
Those are good guesses, but not quite right. So, not quite right. Caroline, can you?
10.
10? Why? What do you think 45, where did 45 come from?
I don't know.
Let's see, Caroline, can you analyze it?
I did subtraction.
Oh, you did subtraction? Okay. So Caroline, how'd you get 10?
I divided both sides by 5.
Why did you divide and not subtract or add? You did the opposite. 5 was being multiplied by x, so opposite of multiply is divide. All right, very nice, yeah. So you do the opposite sign. Divide by 5, and I get x is equal to 10. Easy peasy here. Let's talk about division. All right, let's give us a slightly hard one. Let's say x divided by -3 is equal to 21. Once you think you have the answer, go ahead and raise your hand. I see 2 hands, 2.5, 3 hands, 4 hands.
My chair. No.
5 hands. I need at least half the class to raise their hand, otherwise I'm not moving on. There we go. Leo has his hand up. There's more hands. All right. Lorea, give it to us. What'd you get for x? Negative what? -7? Ooh, not quite. So I want someone to analyze our error. That was a perfect answer because that allows us to analyze this problem a little bit more. So now I don't want to know the correct answer. I want to know how did we get -7? And Lori, is it okay if I give that to someone else? All right. So Colby, how do you think she got -7?
Because she divided by 3?
Divided by
-3.
-3. Yeah.
But
Okay.
it's already division, so that would just...
Okay. So tell us what to do correct then.
You would multiply it by -3.
Multiply. And why multiply and not divide?
Because it's division. And I'll cancel it out.
Okay, yeah, so that's a good way to explain it. So if I have this problem and I divide by -3 again, I'm just dividing even more, so I'm not isolating for x. I'm not getting x by itself. So in order to get x by itself, and I can maybe do this in a different color so that it makes it clear in the notes, I multiply both sides by -3. Multiply both sides by -3. You're always balancing the equation, making sure you're adding the same thing to both sides, or multiplying both sides by the same amount. So -3 and a -3, these will cancel each other out, and I can do that with a highlighter tool. Those will cancel out. So what I'm left with is a regular x, no negative, is equal to, and then what's the correct answer by a quiet raised hand? Beverly. -63. Box the answer. All right, give me a fist of 5. How comfortable are you with one-step equations? Fist of 5. 5 is I am mastered this. Give me the homework. I'll finish that in like 5 minutes. Easy peasy. Wow, everyone has super high numbers. Okay. Cool. Go ahead and write your summaries.
I didn't see my numbers.